the best weapons in each class for Battlefield 6. We're actually going to start off with the LMG or support class first. And I think you guys would be surprised, especially going back and knowing how I feel about this gun. We're going to be talking about the M240L. And yes, I actually, going back and playing with this, I actually do believe that this is the best LMG in the class. It has an ROF of 600, a stock mag size of 75, a muzzle velocity of 787 milliseconds, 787 ms for muzzle velocity. ADS time is 433 milliseconds, but it's not bad because if you want to build it for a faster ADS, you can. That's just with the build that I have on the gun specifically. Yeah, I was using the QD grip pod while I was testing out this gun, and just going through everything, it is just such a good LMG. It definitely outbeats the RPK, the KTS, the L110, and the M123K for me. It's pretty close to the M60, but I really wouldn't put it up there with the M60 simply because the M60 is just a little awkward to use sometimes. And after all the changes that they made to recoil and bloom, the M240L got a lot better since I last used it. And going forward on the patch on the 9th, guns are going to feel a lot better to begin with because they're fixing first shot accuracy, they're fixing the netcode, they're fixing a bunch of stuff. So all the guns that I'm talking about today are going to get a lot better on Tuesday. A big thing that I really liked about the M240L was that it's 3-shot kill up to 20 meters. Most of the guns that I'm going to be talking about today have 3-shot kill potential. But they're probably not the guns that you think that they're gonna be. The bloom on the M240L really isn't a problem. It is almost unnoticeable unless you're firing 60 meters plus. Recoil really isn't that bad, especially with the QD grip pod. I recommend either using a full angled grip or the grip pod, simply for the fact that the QD grip pod doesn't give any penalty to ADS strafing while shooting. So that's a really good plus there, and it works really well with the build. Obviously, it's an extremely good close range weapon up until 20 meters, since it is going to 3-shot kill them, and it has an ROF of 600. So it's going to get guys down pretty quickly. Honestly, rivals, if not, is better than the AK-4D. Its biggest problem, aside from its recoil at times and just control, I mean, well, all LMGs really do struggle with control aside from the KTS, the RPK, and the DRS. DRS isn't included in this because it's in its own tier. I really don't want to put it as the support weapon, since you can kind of put it on any class you want. So I'm not going to be talking about the DRS today. Same thing with a few other guns that you guys will see later on. But most of the slower firing, high precision weapons like the KTS and the RPK in this tier aren't as good as the M240L, even though the RPK does have a 3-shot range. Reason being is simply for the fact that the ROF on the M240 plus its mag size outweighs any pluses of the RPKs in any way, shape, or form, because you don't need 51 precision on a gun. You genuinely don't. 32 is like as good as you really need. I've been using a lot of the B3, and that only has 33 precision, and I feel like I never run into any bloom issues. Same thing with the M417. It's sitting at 33 precision as well, and I don't run into any bloom issues. So I think the sweet spot for bloom is roughly around 30 to 50, but you don't necessarily need the 50, and it shows with the M240L while that's sitting at 26. And you only notice the bloom if you're holding down the trigger an extremely long time, especially if you're using the heavy extended barrel and a lightened suppressor. You're not going to run into any of those problems that most people are running into with the gun. Now, you could use a classic foregrip, and that would bump it up to 29 precision. You could even go a step further and try the 45 stubby, but I don't think it'll make it that much better. In my opinion, and stat-wise, this one does seem to be the best. It was the most consistent out of all the LMGs that I was trying. I am, though, a huge fan of the M250. If you guys want a really good, consistent, and great LMG, if you're not trying to be a meta slave and use the DRS the entire time when you're playing LMGs, the M240L has become a very, 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 very good LMG that I'm probably going to keep on for a while, until some changes, because I think the M250 might end up being very, very good. One of the main issues with this gun is the reload time. The reload time is just a little excessive. I think it is the slowest reload time. Actually, it doesn't tell you what the reload time is. The reload time, it feels a little long. It feels a lot longer than most of the reload times for all of the LMGs, but because it's stock with 75 rounds, unless you're using the LMG to suppress people, you're really never gonna have to reload, especially since it's 3-shot kill close, and then pretty much 4 shots at all ranges up until 75. Could reach 5 shots depending on where you are on the map and how far that person is. It is super consistent from what I've seen, and the damage fall off is just like, it's just like any other 3-shot AR, as in the AK-4D and the TR7. This doesn't really fall off at all, and it hits pretty heavy. And yeah, I mean, I changed my mind on the gun entirely, which is why I think it's the best LMG. I didn't think that would be possible, but it happened. And I love it. I had such a fun time using it. So I definitely recommend this, and I would definitely say that this is probably the best LMG in the game. Moving on to assault rifles. Assault rifles are a little weird because to me, it really comes down to one thing, and it's preference. Assault rifles, all the assault rifles have pretty much the same time to kill or bullets to kill, which I've learned and I'm still like trying to test. The only thing is there are a handful of 3-shot weapons in the assault rifle category: the AK-4D, the NVO, and the TR7. Now, I'm sure a lot of you guys are expecting me to say the TR7. I'm not going to say the TR7. The TR7 is a great gun and should be realistically the best gun in the weapon class for assault rifles. The problem with the TR7 is that it shoots too fast for the amount of bullets in the gun. Now, you could argue, put on a bigger mag. Problem with that is, put on a bigger mag, you lose recoil control and you lose precision. And if you're choosing to lose those, then the gun becomes useless. It has a 720 ROF with a precision of 19, even with a classic vertical foregrip and a lightened suppressor. This gun is designed for extremely close ranges and is pretty much an SCW with a bigger frame. It isn't designed to be, in my opinion, the best assault rifle because of how it shoots, how it acts, and how much ammo it has. I've run into a lot of problems even controlling recoil perfectly with this gun. I've run into so many problems. I've been trying to fight someone 30 meters out and the gun just loses all control in itself because of the bloom. And top it off, I could probably kill 1 to 2 people and then have to reload, and if there's a third guy, I am dead. There are way more consistent weapons in this class, like the L85, the Cord, the B36, and the AK-4D. Now, I understand that you guys don't like when I talk about guns that have a slower ROF in comparison to a lot of other guns in the game, which is why today I'm definitely talking about the AK-4D, not the NVO. I'm sure some of you guys thought I was talking about the NVO. My gripe with the NVO is that it is not as good as the AK-4D. I'm going to show you guys on screen exactly why I say the AK-4D is the best assault rifle in the game. On screen, you see the NVO. I understand that in the range, the targets actually aren't 10 meters away. I got a comment about that yesterday, in yesterday's video, and I understand that now. So I'm going to stand up here and get 2 meters closer and still not get to the 3-shot range with the NVO. We're going to switch to the AK-4D and allow me. The AK-4D has a farther 3-shot kill range than the NVO. The TR7 is the only gun in its class that has the same damage range. Those two guns are exactly the same. They have the same damage model as each other. The only thing that the TR7 has is 720 ROF over the AK-4D. Fun fact, the AK-4D has a faster muzzle velocity than the TR7, which means your bullets are going to travel a lot faster, except you're going to shoot them a lot slower because the ROF is only at 514. Your mobility is also a lot slower, and your hipfire accuracy is going to be a lot worse. On the upside, you have 20 more control, and I think another 20 precision on top of the TR7, which puts this in the lead. And a slower fire rate with a smaller magazine means a lot more control with where your bullets are going. Now, it is not my fault if you miss. That is not my fault. All I'm saying here is from how I'm reading everything and how I tested everything and from how I've been playing with everything, the gun that I'm most consistent with, the gun that's the most consistent with its damage, and the gun that's the most fun to use and has the highest kill potential is the AK-4D in the assault class. Now, a close second and third would be the B36 and the L85 if we're excluding the TR7, but obviously second place would be the TR7. That's for assault. I think that is totally fine. I think it's totally fair. If you disagree, you could disagree, but I think I pretty much hit the nail on the head. And I think that the AK-4D as of current is a much better assault rifle than the other ones that everyone is talking about. And I'm not trying to be different. I'm not trying to make these are the best guns, boom, look at this, it's a different one. No, the AK-4D literally feels the best. Now, if you play on smaller maps like Siege of Cairo and you're trying to rush in and go around corners, is the AK-4D gonna work for you? Absolutely not. The TR7 is gonna work for you, which is why it's hard to really necessarily pick best guns when it comes to Battlefield, because the best gun for you is not going to be the best gun for me. This is necessarily going off of what's best for me and what's best for a lot of casual players. Casual players aren't going to be able to control the TR7. A very good player is going to be able to control the TR7. I would never recommend the TR7 to someone that is newer to FPS games or even newer to Battlefield. I would always push them towards the B36, the L85, and the AK-4D. I would ignore the Cord. The Cord, though, has a 900 ROF, which I think personally beats the NVO, but that's a different discussion if you guys want to hear about that. We're gonna move on to the Engineer class now. Moving away from assault rifles. If you guys, I'm down to hear what you guys have to say, but the AK-4D is just supreme. I don't like to have a 3-shot range up until the 20-meter mark is unmatched. Especially because the NVO isn't even in the... It's 4-shotting. It's going to 3-shot 8 meters and closer, not 10. Moving on to SMGs because of Engineer. Now, I want to start with my personal favorite, which is the UMG, the USG 90. I have so much fun using this. Unfortunately, that is not the gun. We're going to be talking about the SCW 10 simply because everybody knows this gun is... It's literally the best SMG in the game. There isn't an SMG closer to it. You could argue that the KV9 is, which it kind of is since it has 200 more ROF than the SCW at 25 damage, which ends up equaling the same amount of damage output between both guns. It basically feels like a 3-shot kill within 10 meters. But because the SCW has accuracy and recoil control and a moderate fire rate on its side, it outclasses everything in the game. There's like 3 SMGs that are pretty close to the SCW, and that's the SGX, the USG, and the PW5A3, MP5, SGX, whatever that's called in real life, and then obviously the P90. You guys all know I'm picking the SCW 10. I really don't need to talk about it since we all know about it from day one of the game. It is the strongest SMG. It has the best damage range out of all the SMGs. It feels like a champion, hits heavy. The only downside to this gun is its magazine size, but as you guys know, it doesn't really matter since we all get shredded by this gun every single day in and day out. This gun is there. We hate it, but we love it at the same time, especially if you end up using it or you are the person that uses it, then you definitely love it. Yeah, I mean, I'm going to kind of glance over the SMGs. There's really nothing to talk about with them because everyone really knows what the SCW does. Nobody really needs I don't think anyone really needs a rundown for the SCW. It's a 3-shot kill up till 10 meters, and then beyond that, it's like 4, then it goes to 5, and then it acts like a normal SMG beyond then. So we're just gonna jump to sniper rifles because, yeah, we're going straight to Recon. And this one's the fun one. This one is very interesting because it is the Mini Scout. There's no doubting that. Everyone knows the Mini Scout is literally the best sniper in the game. There's nothing really separating the Mini Scout from the M2010 ESR in terms of effectiveness. When you take into account the sweet spot range, which I'm not even going to include in this because it's just so confusing for the most part. The Mini Scout shoots so fast and its muzzle velocity is extremely quick. It's only 100 higher than the ESR, but it also has an entire second faster reload time, and its ADS speed is 50 ms faster than the ERS. And it also comes with a 10-round mag. It comes with a 10-round mag stock as opposed to the ESR's 5-round mag stock. And because it shoots so fast and has a super fast muzzle velocity, it does not need a rangefinder at all on 90% of the maps. Even on Operation Firestorm, I would argue that you might not need one, but if you're shooting 600 meters away or 500 meters away, you're gonna have to start using one. But for 90% of the actual engagements with this gun, you don't really need one. And that's the nice thing about the Mini Scout and its effectiveness in close range. It does, unfortunately, it does only do 80 damage, but every shot with a sniper is a headshot. That is the most effective way to get someone with it. And if you're not using the Mini Scout, you end up noticing when you fight against someone with a Mini Scout that they have an extreme advantage over you. And it starts to become really, really annoying to fight because they're extremely mobile. They're shooting way faster than you. They're reloading way faster than you. And they're already aimed down at your head before you can even aim at them. Like, this gun is just beyond every other sniper in the game. I personally believe that it needs a nerf. I know for a fact I've heard other people say it doesn't need a nerf, but I would argue that it probably does, or they need to buff the other snipers in the game simply for the fact that it's in its own league right now and nothing compares. With a 51 ROF in comparison to the second best sniper in the game at 43, that's an 8 ROF difference, which would equal like 2 seconds. Not only does the person using the Mini Scout get an extra 2 seconds to line up his shot and shoot at you before you're even back aiming down your sights, but this gun automatically has the ADS bolt equipped, which means he's already aimed in. He doesn't have to unscope to rechamber. He is aimed in and ready to go while you're unscoping and rechambering, unless you're going to use the 30 points to put the ADS bolt on. So it is a huge advantage to use the Mini Scout, and I highly recommend it. If you haven't thought about doing that, I don't know why you haven't. It 1000% clears everything and anything you could possibly use in the sniper category. Sadly, this isn't my full tier. This isn't going to be a full tier list. This is just talking about what I think are the best guns in each category, to kind of get a feel for what you guys think about the guns and if you guys think I'm going on the right track. I also wanted to get a feel for doing this type of video where I talk about multiple guns because I've never done this before. I usually keep it to one. I also wanted to throw in a couple of my favorites. And yeah, I was only focusing on the main class weapons that get benefits from being used with the specific class. My full tier list video will be with every gun in the game through all weapons, not just for classes. This video is just for the classes in the game. I didn't want to really branch out that far yet because I haven't really used everything in the game. I used every AR today, and that's mainly what I tested. I used, over the course of the last like 3 days, I used every SMG and every LMG, and then obviously I used all the snipers within the last couple of weeks, and they haven't really changed much. So that's where this is coming from. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. It's definitely different. Hopefully you guys are good with the picks. I think they're different than what most people are picking. But in all honesty, after all the hours that I've put into every single one of these weapons, I definitely think I picked the best weapons possible to tell you guys about. I don't think I missed anything. I do understand that ROF does come into play when it comes to actually, you know, taking someone down, but I don't think it matters as much as people think it does, simply for the fact that 100 ROF difference doesn't dictate whether or not a gun is usable or the best gun in the game, especially if it's 3-shotting up until 20 meters, as in the AK-4D. AK-4D, hands down, no doubt in my mind, better AR than a lot of the other guns. So yeah, thank you for watching, and goodbye.